JC. And this is Brandon Boyd from HLS. Redefining. Listening to Elegbete TV and radio. You are listening to Elegbete TV radio.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Friday edition of the Sports Buffet on Elegbete TV Radio. My name is Idafe Matthew, as you're going to love to come with Elegbete on the sports. You know how it is on Friday. We mix everything together, but we're going to talk sports as the baseline for all of the other conversation we'll bring in. Thank you, guys. Yesterday was lovely 1 hour, 30 minutes, but today is going to be 1 hour, the regular time of the show. So if you're there, I'm here. Let's hit the ground running. Let's get in on the conversation. First talking point that I want to leave out there for you guys, Emperor, you're really the guy. Okay, sorry for the little 6 or 7 minutes of delay. Due to something with our partners trying to add in a little upgrade very, very late. But it's good. Okay, it's good we're here. Now let's have the show running. So let's start with this. How do I put it now? What's the most exciting Champions League game you've seen? What's the most exciting Champions League game you've seen? Whether you were there in the stadium live, or you saw it on television, or you listened to the commentaries on radio, the one that got you on the edge of your seat, the one that knocked you out completely, and the most exciting European Champions League, because somebody might say it's CAF Champions League, or which of the Champions League you're saying. What's the most exciting UEFA Champions League game that you've seen? And I want the old school people to tell me something about what happened in the 80s or 70s or so, even the 90s. I'll take it, because it kind of like feels like the only people that I'm talking to most times are the millennials. And I want to give a special shout as we're going on the show to Bukola. Yeah, Bukola in Port Harcourt. Wonderful insurance blog. Amazing woman. To her daughter, and her husband. Wonderful guys out there. Bukola, big shout out to you, my jumbo lady. But she's an amazing soul, amazing person, wonderful friend, and a lovely daughter and a husband as well. Wonderful people. Big shout out to you all and everybody out there in Port Harcourt. Love you guys to the very, very end. Okay. So guys, let's get back in on the conversation. Question is, what's the most exciting Champions League game that you've seen? So as usual, and as the new custom, we go through the headlines together, then we go through the stories and see what's going on. All of a sudden, the Toothless Bulldog called club owners are now opening their mouth to talk. I thought that you should have. But the funny thing is, the club owners, let's not lie, the club owners are the people also engineering all this madness. There are people within the club owner circle that don't like the current people that are there, and they are using the minister to perpetrate the kind of rubbish that is going on. But let's take it on face value and take their statement as they have put it out there. Okay. Okay, Bukola Obaje, once again, big shout out to you, lovely friend and sister that I've got. And let's go to the headlines that we've got on the show today. CAF Champions League. We won't write off our opponent, Fidelis Ilechukwu. Guess who's Fidelis Ilechukwu? You got to find out as we go on the show. Yes, the CAF Champions Cup, our targets are to earn a clean sheet and also qualify. Aziz Mohammed. Who that is? You find out on the show. Don't worry. I'm not going to keep you hanging for too long. Club owners condemn invasion of LMC headquarters. All right. Now the Toothless Bulldog are speaking. Buhari award Amushan Brume and others CWG athletes. Okay, Commonwealth Games athletes. Okay, in case you're wondering what CWG is. Okay, Europa League wrap up. Ronaldo ends goals drought. Olayinka nets as Slavia Prague win. Jose's Roma bounce back. Okay, yes, there's a whole lot on that front as well. And the king, the king have gone out with the queen. I mean, the queen left and then the king has to go. Okay. King Roger announced his retirement from tennis. If Serena Williams is going, you know, brother's gonna go too. So that's exactly what has happened. Now let's let's bring our spoon and delve into the story. Bukola. How many times did I call you? I'll call Conky then. If I call your name, arrest me, I beg. Okay. Plateau United boss Fidelis Ilechukwu is also the former boss of MFM FC, as well as Heartland FC of Owerri, formerly known as Iwanyanwu National. Iwanyanwu, that's what my younger brother used to call it. Iwanyanwu. As I showed, his side will not in any way underrate As Mandji of Gabon, who they welcome on Sunday in the 2022-2023 TOTALENERGIES CAF Champions League first preliminary round, second leg clash at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja. Plateau United secured a 2-2 draw in Gabon last weekend and will seek to ensure they edge the Gabonese side at home. Let me tell you, this is not home for them. So the Gabonese side can come here bouncing on the fact that Nigeria, as that place has become a place where Nigerians hope of qualifying for any competition is that, especially with Ghana. And then the Gabonese might just get inspired. But let's see what happens anyway. In a chat with Clubs Media, he said the team is not underrating its opponent as they eye a place in the Champions League in the competition second round. Since we returned, we have been talking to ourselves because it is an important game for me as a coach. I don't want to write our opponent off due to the fact that we picked a draw at their backyard. This is football, and both sides have 50-50 chance to progress. On an outright victory or a goalless draw would send Fidelis side through to the next round to set up a clash against Experience Satif of Ojakud. Hey, that much. Well, let's qualify first. Let's qualify. Anything is possible. Let's just qualify first. And then the CAF Conference Cup technical advisor of Kwara United. I hate to use that word anyway. The manager of Kwara United, because that word is not a footballing word. So, Timothy Dembo, please save me. Don't do that again. Kwara United, Mohammed Audu Aziz had said his team still has an hurdle to cross in the second leg. This is being unnecessarily modest anyway. In the second leg tie of the TOTALENERGIES CAF Champions Cup first round preliminary stage against SD Johannes of Niger Republic on Sunday. Kwara United FC will face off the Niamey-based side, taking a 3-goal advantage into the tie, having trashed them 3-0 last week in Lagos. You know, Nigerian definition of trashing when it relates to Nigerian team is different. 3-0 is not trashing in footballing terms. So all they need to change that tie. If you give people 5-0, then that's trashing. 6-0, 7-0, that's trashing. But 3-0 in footballing terms, if they score a goal in the first 10 minutes, that trashing becomes very, very edgy. Score a goal in the first 10 minutes, push themselves very well, gets a penalty in the 35th minute, this tie will be overturned. Okay, I'm just saying that. But the game that I saw, Kwara United looked overwhelmingly better than the Miami side. But then again, in football, this can happen. Remember, America beat Nigeria 4-0 when we landed, the Falcons, and then the second game, they needed an own goal to win. So anything can happen. But I'm just saying that the way we calculate football in the dressing room is different. But let's just keep our fingers crossed and see how it goes. But I don't consider 3-0 trashing anyway. And for coach of the side, Abdulaziz Mohammed, it's still a job not done yet. Speaking to the media, he said, we will try to go and get qualification in Miami because the job is not done yet. We still have a crucial 90 minutes ahead of us. We will go there and play to get the ticket for the next stage. That's a good one. That's spoken like a very good coach. Our target are to play and earn a clean sheet and also qualify. We are going there to attack, and that's why I told my strikers to ensure that any ball that comes to them, it must count. Okay, we get 3 goals in the first leg, all goals coming in the first half, and I will say it's normal from an African perspective. We are trying to change the mentality of the players because we supposed to get more than 3 goals in the match. In Miami, my players will need to keep their heads and play according to our plan and target. We have trained hard ahead of the battle in Niamey. The match will be held at the Stade General Sheikh Kotek. And the winner over 2 legs will play Moroccan side ROS Bakani in the next stage. I think that the pathway of Kwara United does look good. It look possible to get to the group stage anyway. Okay, so finally, the toothless bulldog of Nigerian football have now opened their mouth to speak. Finally, the Football Owners Association of Nigeria described as unacceptable and uncalled for the reported invasion of the corporate headquarters of the league management company LMC at Maitama in Abuja. There is no way to describe abuse of power than this thing that they did anyway. The association said the police invasion of the premises of the league organizers is an unlawful act in the eyes of football statutes, rules, and extant laws, including the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Club owners maintain that the LMC was a creation of the Nigerian Football Federation. Yes, the NFF Congress that after due process adhered to and incorporated with the Corporate Affairs Commission in line with the CAC Act, as well as endorsed by CAF and FIFA. The association also recalled that in its recent interface with the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development, it recommended to the ministry via a letter to always follow all known football procedure via the NFF as a custodian of the nation's football for any action or inaction relating to its affiliates. It, however, advised the ministry, the NFF, and the LMC leadership should seek a harmonious way to ventilate issues in the interest of football development in Nigeria. And this is a quote coming out of that letter. No meaningful progress can strive in an atmosphere of rancor, and football is not an exception. It said, again, for the avoidance of that and to correct the that it was the club owners that sought the dissolution of the LMC, our letter to the Honorable Minister of the League forward via football recognized rules and norms. It added, okay, so Minister, this means that you lied, right? You lied. I said it here before that was a lie anyway, but hey, finally they've come out to clear it up. Club owners stated further that while it will align itself with all positive moves towards making the league better, it would not be coerced to associate itself with any move that runs contrary to the principles and protocols of association football as propagated by FIFA, CAF, WAFU, and the NFF. A statement jointly signed by the chairman of the club owners, Barrister Isaac Danladi, and the executive secretary, Chief Aloy Chukwuemeka, enjoined football stakeholders to come as efforts are being made to get the situation under control as the program of activities of the coming NPFL season is on top gear. And now let's go to the man who is always assuring us. When you hear the word assure, before now, assurance was something that is associated with Chioma and Davido. But then our president decided, I can't be left out in this lagis, in this, glory of the word assure, and it took over completely. And every time something happens, that you put a microphone in front of the president, and this is what you hear: assure you. And finally, is assured some of the sports personality. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, I don't know what that means anyway. Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, right? Is he really Grand Commanding us? I don't know. He's commanding us too. The carriers go where we don't know. As conferred a national honor on Tobi Amosun, Ese Brume, and other Nigerian athletes in Abuja. I wish that we are very proactive in preparing the athletes before they go and win. All this taking glory when other people have helped us to take care of our children, it should stop. The athletes who secured Nigeria's best ever finish at the Commonwealth Games were rewarded with national honors and cash reward. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, 4 athletes were honored with the Officer of the Order of the Niger, OON. In case you don't know, used to end at MON anyway. But nice OON. Okay, we're going somewhere. Okay. The athletes in the category A were Tobi Amosun, Ese Brume, Blessing Oborodudu, and Fumilayo Folashade. All 4 athletes won a gold medal at the recently concluded Commonwealth Games. Aside the national honor received, they were also gifted 4,500,000 naira, which is 4.5 million in case you want it abbreviated. In category B, 7 athletes who also won gold medal. The gold different from the gold at the Commonwealth Games were conferred by President Buhari with the member of the Order of the Niger, MON, without EY. Okay, the athletes in category B are Odunayo Adekoroye, Oyekore Chioma, Wanchuku Goodness, Injideka Iyazi, Ofili Favor, Lawal Afolashade, and Genesis Mercy. Why? I wanted to say something, but I might say it now and be interpreted differently. But why is the category B the same people want gold different from the people? okay, somebody abroad. Okay, they were each giving 4.5 million for their heroics. Why they not get their OON too now? Well, let's take a run to the place where Cristiano Ronaldo now have to travel to Moldova. Like I said, following the missionary journey of Apostle Paul in the Bible, the European League roundup. Cristiano Ronaldo scored for the first time this season as Manchester United got their Europa League campaign back on track with a 2-0 win at Sheriff Tiraspol. That's in Moldova, in case you guys don't know. And that's the same Sheriff Tiraspol that went to Real Madrid last season and beat them at not the Bernabeu anyway, but at their home ground. Ronaldo had gone 7 games without a goal this term before the United striker converted a first-half penalty against the Moldovan champion. United remain 3 points behind group leaders Real Sociedad, who won 2-1 against Omonia Nicosia. Sociedad took the lead through Ander Guevara in the 30th minute, and former Crystal Palace striker Alexander Solot bagged the 80th minute winner after Bruno equalized 8 minutes earlier. Andrea Belotti scored his first Roma goal to cap a 3-0 win against 10-man AJK Helsinki at the Stadio Olimpico. Jose Mourinho's side suffered a shock 2-1 loss against Ludogorets in their Group C opener, but they were always in control after AJK captain Miro Tenho was sent off in the 15th minute for a professional foul on Belotti. Okay, Paulo Dybala took just 69 seconds to break the deadlock after coming on at halftime as he fired home from the edge of the area. That's a player that you can bank on. Lorenzo Pellegrini chested in the second goal in the 49th minute with former Torino forward Belotti tapping home in the 68th minute. In Group A, Bodo Glimt beat FC Zurich 2-1. Same FC Zurich that Arsenal struggled with, but Arsenal still won 2-1. To take a top spot with Arsenal's game against PSV Eindhoven postponed after the death of Queen Elizabeth. Okay, surprise Bundesliga leaders Union Berlin slumped to a 1-0 defeat at Braga as Victor Oliveira's 77-minute goal settled the Group D tie. In Group F, FC Midtjylland powered to a stunning 5-1 routing of Lazio, while Feyenoord's Iran winger Alizera Jabanbashk, okay, hit a hat-trick to their demolition of Sturm Graz 6-0. Wow. In the Europa Conference League, West Ham survived an early scare to win 3-2 against Sikelborn, and Villarreal edged Hapoel Beersheva in the group stage of the European Conference League as well. For Nigerian players, Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa made his first start in the European competition since 2018 as he featured for Turkish side Sivasspor in their 1-0 win over CF Aero Cluj. In the 29-year-old lasted 57 minutes before he was forced off with an injury. Sorry, get what soon? The governor. In the same group, Peter Lainka contributed a goal and an assist for Slavia Prague in their hard 4-3-2 win over Balkany. The Super Eagles striker, who has 2 goals and an assist in 2 appearances in the UEFA Europa Conference League this season. Moses Uso, remember that guy? Also featured for the Czech Republic side as he was introduced off the bench at halftime. Victor Boniface, powered in a goal, was the match winner for Union St. Gelos in their 3-2 win over Swedish outfit Malmo FF, the former club of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The forward scored the winner for his side before leaving the pitch after 80 minutes of play. Yusuf Olainta Otubanjo inspired Pjanic to a 2-0 win over Uche and his Slavan Bratislava teammate. Otubanjo scored his side's second goal in the encounter before he was subbed off in the 66th minute. Agbo played the first half only before he was replaced at the start of the second half. Tactical changes that really didn't work anyway. Bright Osai Samuel featured for Fenerbahce as they drew 2-2 against Rennes of France. The right back completed the 90 minutes for his Turkish giant in the match. The duo of Akambi Rashid and Iyayi Believe at Tiwen featured from the start as FC Sheriff Tiraspol fell to a 2-0 defeat at the hands of the Red Devils, who are rowing back Manchester United. Akambi lasted 73 minutes before he was substituted off, and Iyayi lasted 81 minutes on the pitch. But Simon could do nothing to save FC Nantes side from a 3-0 humbling at the hands of Karabag FK. The winger played for 76 minutes before he was withdrawn. Samuel Chukwueze featured in the first half alone as Villarreal claimed the 2-1 win over Israeli side Hapoel Beersheva. The winger was hauled off at halftime by manager Unai Good Evening Emery. Okay. Anderson is City. Remember, this guy was the talk of the time with his long dreadlocks and all that, coming to play for the Super Eagles at a certain point of his career. Okay. Made his first appearance of the season in the Europa League after he was introduced in the 90th minute for Ferencváros in their 1-0 win over Monaco. That's the most shocking result of the round. That cost me money as well. Kehinde Oyewusi featured for Zalgiris Vilnius as they lost to FC Basel 1-0. The attacker was a 65th minute substitute for the Lithuania side. Victor Oluyemi Olatunji also featured for AEK La Masia as they lost by a single goal against Dynamo Kiev. Okay, the forward was substituted off after 73 minutes of the encounter. Francis Uzoho, remember our goalkeeper, so was smiling and making silly mistakes. Watch from the bench as Omonia Nicosia lost 2-1 away to Real Sociedad. Ishak Abdulrazak was also left unused as Anderlecht were held to a goalless draw by Star Bucharest. Now let's go to tennis as we round up the news segment of the show. Tennis great Roger Federer announced on Thursday that he will retire from the sport at the age of 41. Wow, 41. This guy is my junior, right? Okay. With the last tournament of his illustrious career to be the Lava Cup in London, scheduled to be held at the O2 Arena next weekend. For the 1-year-old becomes the second high-profile tennis legend after Serena Williams to announce their retirement in this month. Okay, let's see how that goes anyway. The 20-time Grand Slam champion has been struggling with a knee problem for the last 3 years, and with no sight of getting better, he has opted to step aside for others to continue. Federer broke the news of his retirement via a heartfelt letter posted on his social media platform on Thursday, and it read thus: okay, to my tennis family and beyond, of all the gifts that tennis have given me over the years, the greatest, without a doubt, have been the people I've met along the way, my friends, my competitors, and most of all, the fans who give me sponsorship. Today, I want to share some of news with you all. Okay, that kind of news that breaks the heart of some people, but it makes me happy anyway. As many of you know, the past 3 years have presented me with challenges in the form of injuries and all that. Worked hard to return to full competitive form, but I also know my body's capacity and limit and its measures. Lately, I've not been clear at all. I am 41 years old. I have played more than 1,500 or 1,500 matches over 24 years. Tennis has treated me more graciously and generously than I ever would have dreamed. And now I must recognize when it is time to end my competitive career. The Lever Cup next week in London would be my final ATP event. I will play more tennis in the future, of course, not in the Grand Slam or in the upper circle or, on the tour, just the tennis for fun. Federer, along with legendary rivals Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic, have dominated men's tennis for the best part of the last 20 years, and has retirement brings the curtain down on a golden era for the sport. May we have more people who would entertain us and thrill us like Roger Federer and Serena Williams. For Serena Williams, she made blacks love the game of tennis. Tennis used to be an all-white game anyway, but it changed when the Williams deliberately, intentionally, and strategically got in on the groove, and it's been wonderful since then. Earlier on, I asked the question, what has been your most exciting Champions League game? Not this season, all time. So you can go as far back as the 50s if you're that old, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010s, and then maybe you can even come this season. But just tell me, what's the most exciting Champions League game you've ever seen in your entire life? Don't forget, we're partners with UEFA Champions League. So we are at liberty to bring the Champions League into most of our conversation these days. All right. I hope you guys are still there. It's taking me a while to read the news. Let's see what you've got. And it's Friday, so you're free to ask any question, even outside of football. So I'm not the only one asking the question. Saviki said mine is AC Milan versus Liverpool in the Champions League in 2005 final, the Battle of Istanbul. Saviki, he said the second one is Bayern versus Manchester United at the Nou Camp in 1999. Okay, this is some good games, some very, very good games. Saviki, you're leading Iraq here. If you've mentioned this already, I don't know what anybody's going to say again. Saviki, my all-time football game is Brazil versus Italy. No, I'm talking Champions League, but I'm obligated to read it. As at Espanyol 82, where Paulo Rossi taking on Junior and Oscar, it ended 3-2 in favor of Italy. Zico also took on Franco Baresi on the other side. What a game that was. I didn't watch it live, but I watched the clip later because when I was doing researches, people were always going back to that game. So I had to go look for the video cassette and I watched it. And I love the body hug jerseys that both countries wore. And I love the way Paulo Rossi celebrated his goals. It was like it was on drug. Every time he scores, he just get high and, celebrating. I mean, the story around Paulo Rossi coming out of jail, I think 11 months, and then coming on to make that team, first of the whole Italy didn't want him to play the World Cup and eventually played the friendly game, and he was a beast. And then they gave him a chance, he went on to the World Cup and became the highest scorer. That's a story for another day. That's an entire show that we can do around it anyway. Tony Jesse, he said, Monitor, Nigeria has a player in Victor Boniface. His performance for Union St. Galosi in the Europa League match against Malmo FM. That's one game we're going to have to see him play that on a consistent basis. We've seen all this type of talk. That's how we talked about Siridesas. That's how we talked about Emmanuel Dennis. There's something called flash in the pan. You have to be able to repeat this type of performance on a consistent basis and probably move to a place where people can observe you. Then we'll have that conversation. But I am not crazy about one single game and then go to, ballistic, and let me talk about. But I think that the next list for the friendly matches that we're going to play might have a lot of surprises, bearing the type of injury situation that we find ourselves with. But I just think that there'll be a lot of surprises. That's where I'm going to end. Tony Jesse is a brilliant and powerful. Yes, I agree with you on the strength of that one game. But any football person will tell you, you don't bank on one game as the basis to invite a player to national team. You've got to give them time. Imagine Brazil inviting player for the forthcoming friendlies, and amazingly, all the Gabriels were not invited. Gabriel Magalhaes, Gabriel Martinelli, and Gabriel Jesus were not needed. They don't need the heavenly host from Arsenal. They just need other players to come play. Richarlison was invited, and a few other players. But hey, it is what it is. Maybe the coach is saying to himself, Tete is saying to himself, I've seen enough of these guys. I want to see some other players that I'm not giving chance. Obviously, we do know that Gabriel Jesus and probably Magalhaes will be on the plane to the World Cup. Martinelli have been, fantastic lately. I thought he should have been given a chance because if not been really given a chance at the national team. But yeah, the coach will decide who he wants to decide. So just to say, mine was Chelsea versus Napoli Champions League round of 16, 2012. That's the one of the biggest prediction I've also ever made in football history. That was a very, very, very beautiful one. I need to get more. Let's talk about greatest Champions League games, and I might chip in with some that I saw, some that I read about, but most of them I saw them. And would chime in with those ones. But for now, I want to get yours. So everybody out there, if you're listening, you're watching, you're viewing this thing, Bookie, I don't know if you follow football anyway, so you can chime in yours as well. But let me know what's your greatest Champions League games. Okay, sometimes it's hard to pick because there is always this whole thing about um, hooking up to only your club. But then, even if your club it's not the one that you want to pick, you can pick any other game that you've seen. I don't want to believe that people watch only their club anyway. But let's see. You know, just let me know the ones that you think are your greatest. Let me go to YouTube. But there's one game I will never forget. The build up to the game is what made it more exciting than the game itself. So in 1993-94 season, the finals was played between FC Barcelona and AC Milan. In 1991, FC Barcelona had won the UEFA Champions League. So everybody sat back and like, oh, Barcelona had a new team. Fabio Capello had just brought this AC Milan team that was young. They have very, very young players, and if you look at that squad very well, and you look at the Barcelona squad, let me see if I can rack up that squad and express it in the way that I can. But that squad was very young. There's no longer Ruud Gullit. There's no longer Marco van Basten, Frank Rijkaard. All of those guys that really make AC Milan tick. And you were like, oh, this AC Milan team cannot do anything. And that was a build-up. It was even sounding like it was an accident that AC Milan got to the finals in the first place. They had Savicevic, if I can recall. They have some of those players that you just say to yourself, these ones, they are going to get trashed. They're going to get beat by FC Barcelona because FC Barcelona does look like a better team. They have like everything going for them. There was no way leading up to that game that you would see them lose. So if you look at it very well, in 6 games in the group stage, Barcelona make up 10 points. And 6 games in the group stage, AC Milan make up 8 points. AC Milan were in the same group with FC Porto, Werder Bremen, and Anderlecht. Barcelona were in the same group with Monaco, Sparta, Moscow, and Galatasaray. And you just sit where you are and say to yourself, whoa, where's this leading to in Group A and Group B? That's how they were split. When they started the match, they won. Barcelona played a goalless draw with Galatasaray. Monaco, they beat Monaco 2-0 at home. Spartak Moscow, they played a 2-2 draw. And then the return leg, they trashed Spartak Moscow 5-1. They played Galatasaray at home. They won 3-0. And then they played Monaco again and beat Monaco 1-0. And everybody, oh, this team is the team. Same way AC Milan went through the group stage. They qualified alongside FC Porto, if I recall, and Barcelona qualified alongside Monaco, who had 7 points in the group games. And somehow AC Milan started with a goalless draw with Anderlecht, just the same way Barcelona started with a goalless draw with Galatasaray. And then in the second game, they played against Porto, FC Porto, and they won 3-0 at home, while Barcelona were winning 2-0 against Monaco at home. And then they played against Werder Bremen, and it was 2-1. And then that was also at home. And then they went away, played a 1-1 draw. And then they went to Anderlecht, that they played a 0-0 draw with in the first time. And then they played 0-0 again. And then FC Porto, it was 0-0. So they won 2 and drew the rest. They didn't lose any game in that category. It felt good anyway. It felt really, really good. Okay, so you just thought to yourself, you know what? This is the kind of game that you want to see. And then after that, they went on to the next round and they played against FC Arau. It was 1-0, 1-0. 1-0 it was, and the aggregate was 1-0 first leg, 1-0 second leg, 0-0. While against FC Copenhagen, it was 1-0 first leg, 7-0 first leg, 6-0 first leg, 1-0 second leg, and it was 7-0 on aggregate. Barcelona, on the other hand, they can't help themselves with scoring plenty of goals. They played against Dynamo Kiev, and it was 3-1 first leg, and then 4-1 second leg, aggregate 5-4. Okay, they almost lost the game, but they qualified. And then they went to play against Austria Vienna, where they won at home, first leg 3-0, and then the second leg was 2-1. 5-1, it ended there. And you see these two teams ready to rock and roll. At the time, AC Milan had 6 AC Milan were I think they were 5-time champions, no, 6 times champion at the time. They had won in 58, in 63, in 69, 89, 1990, 1993. But somehow, some people just felt, no, this Barcelona team was too good. Well, too good to be true. That's what they say. What happened at the end of the day? The game started, and AC Milan wearing their all white and Barcelona wearing their purple and red, or whatever you call it, and it was beautiful. You had Tessotti, Gail, Maldini, and Panucci at the back with Rossi in goal for AC Milan. Some people don't even know those guys anyway. There was Boban, Vominia Boban, the Croatian, Albertini, Masadisei, and Alberto Donadoni. These guys were incredible. Then you have Daniele Massaro and Savicevic up front. But then look at the Barcelona team a little bit and tell me, how did this team lose 4-0? Andoni Zubizarreta was in goal. Sergio, the guy with the clean shave, Sergio was there at the back. Nadal, not Rafael Nadal. Nadal was there alongside Ronald Koeman. And then they have Ferrer. And then you have Pep Guardiola in defensive midfield. You have Berito there and Amo. Amo was a fantastic guy. But then the three guys at the front. Yeah, you have Begiristan, Romario, and Stoichkov. But still, it changed nothing. Yes, Tiki Begiristan, that very popular guy that is in the boardroom now. Tiki Begiristan, Romario, and Risto Stoichkov were all in that game. But guess what? It didn't change anything. Because a Milan team that had only 3 foreigners in their squad, in Masadiseli, Vominia Boban, and Dejan Savicevic, were awesome. Barcelona also have 3 foreigners. They also had a foreign coach. Johan Cruyff was their coach. But Fabio Capello was the guy who masterminded this team to beat Barcelona for goals to nothing. I know that you guys, some of you guys who are watching me don't know this game or don't remember, didn't even watch this game, this game. But people like us, we saw this game. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Those are the days where you beg people to watch TV in their house. Man, times have changed. You see, like my children would not even understand that part of the story. Like you had to go and beg people to watch the game in their house. And the goal scorers in this game were Daniele Massaro scored twice in the 22nd minute and in the 45th minute of added time in the first half. Savicevic scored in the 47th minute as the second half was just starting. And guess what? Massa Desai scored in the 58 minutes. Barcelona had no answer in front of 70,000 people at the Olympic Stadium in Athens. God, that game was crazy. I don't know about you, but I want to know what your greatest UEFA Champions League game was. But for me, that's one of my greatest Champions League game ever. Let me see what my people in the YouTube side are saying. Okay, Nana Ado Okieri, please, if I don't get it right, I'm sorry. Say good morning. He said my highlight as a Ghanaian was Ajax versus Liverpool. Seeing my Ghanaian player Mohamed Kudus goal was super, man. That goal was good. Now, what is good about that goal is not just the goal. Right? The goal is beautiful, super slam. Goalkeeper was not even expected. He didn't see it. He thought, at some point you would have thought that the Ajax players were confused what was going on. But Mohamed Kudus jamming that ball in was, oh, God. But what was beautiful was the amount of touches it took for Ajax to pass the ball, and then eventually ended up with scoring that goal. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful one. But the question I'm asking is not just this midweek Champions League game. I said all time. What's the greatest Champions League game that you've ever seen? Okay, so I told you guys, the story about AC Milan beating Barcelona in 1994, right? 1994 season. So I want to get from you guys. Chooks, I swear you said, let me say hi to YouTube for the first time in my life on any show. Share that engagement you want. I go to bombard your live show comment section with my takes this morning. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But let it be consistent across other content I will put. I really need engagement. I can't say no to it. And I bet you I will read every message you put out there. The Olariwaju, I like what the guy's name is. I used to have a friend called Bright Olatuboso in primary school. He will always say, we are the Olatuboso. Okay, I thought Ronaldo wouldn't celebrate since he was not interested in playing in the Europa League. Well, that's also what I thought. And then the Olariwaju went on to say LMC Wahala. That. Okay, Divine okay, say good morning, great people of the Elevator TV radio. Sorry, say I come late, so I hope to be a mutual handshake with somebody recently would deem a shine like he did others. I know they I'm not in the neighborhood. I am I'm having breakfast with Bukola Obaje in Port Harcourt. I'm not there. I didn't go to Abuja. I'm having my breakfast buffet with Bukola Obaje. I'm not there. Bukola Obaje, please answer them. I don't want this divine to come and put me in trouble now. Ogunjimi Tobolaji. I remember when I pronounced this name wrongly and the man called me and publicly embarrassed me. Shasha, let's take it like that. Let's take it like that. This life, balance. Don't get all these our Yoruba elders, they don't get joy at all. They don't get the feeling, see you not be their tribesman. Mobolaji, good morning, Edafe. Let me wish all our athletes a big congratulations for making us proud as usual. And then he went further than to say why Arsenal match are being rescheduled both in Premiership and Europe. Are they playing this weekend at all? Okay, so the Queen's Burial is London based. Okay, it's a London team, and it is creating a tourism nightmare, security nightmare. All of the police have been deployed to cater for the burial. So there was not enough police that meets the UEFA requirement and also the Premier League requirement. That's why the Arsenal games have been rescheduled. But I mean, they'll get through it. It's an advantage, it's a disadvantage as well. Advantage in the sense that they now see who is on top of their group and who they will face, and they get a game in hand. But me, in football, I don't like a game in hand. I like to face my game while I have the momentum. Okay, but another advantage is the fact that coming from a loss to Manchester United and then winning in the Europa, they needed some time. Now the return time for some of the injured players is now a bit shorter with more than 2 or 3 games a week, games window out of the way without them playing. They'll train more, they'll rest more, and see how it goes. But a game in hand is not really a game. You need 3 points, you don't need a game in hand. So we'll see how that one goes anyway. Anthony Remileko, aka the Emperor. He said my most memorable UEFA Champions League finals, just match, not just the finals, where Real Madrid 4 versus Atletico de Madrid. The stoppage time goal from Ramos, so emotional, and then Liverpool versus AC Milan. Yeah, I like that game. I like that game as a neutral, but as an Atletico Madrid fan and as somebody who's want to see Diego Simeone win the Champions League, that was excruciatingly painful. Just like when Bayern Munich beat Borussia Dortmund in the finals, that Iron Robben goal, you'll be saying to yourself, what the heck is that? And I think that Bayern Munich have lost the most painful finals ever. The one they lost to Manchester United and the one they lost to Chelsea. The one to Manchester United was in the manner in which it came at the Nou Camp in 1999. And then in 2012, playing as the overlord, as the odds-on favorite for that game and still going on to lose. And then knowing that Iron Robben lost the penalty, that game was all theirs to be taken. But somehow, it just didn't go according to script. Peter Cech, Chelsea, Didier Drogba, they all didn't read the memo. And it's one of those things that happened, back-to-back penalties in the finals. Once they lost to Manchester United, next time they were in the finals, they were not going to lose this one. And Didier Drogba, the big elephant from Africa and Cote d'Ivoire, stood up and took the penalties the best way that he can. But that was painful. But the team that have had the most UEFA Champions League nightmare, in terms of the finals, would have to be the old ladies, the Zebras, Juventus. If Juventus have won every final they've attended, by now they would have 8 UEFA Champions League trophies to their name. And recently I was doing a research and I found out that the last time Real Madrid lost in any European Cup finals was when they lost the Cup Winners' Cup finals in 1983 to Aberdeen, Sir Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen. And that is crazy when you realize that Real Madrid are beating Bayern Munich and beating some teams that are very big going into that finals, but still they lost that finals to the world's most underdog team to ever play in the UEFA Champions European competitions finals, That's amazing. And since then, they've never got into any finals and lost. I don't know if they have and they have lost, and I can't remember. Please remind me. But I think that's the only one, according to my research. I'll still working on that anyway. But it is amazing. That's something about Real Madrid. Every time they get to European competition finals, you better put your money on them because they will find a way to win it. Don't say it's match fixing anyway. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying they would win it. Okay. Diolaro, what you say most exciting UEFA Champions League match would be AC Milan versus Barca in 1993 final. Was not expected for Milan to win. Yes, that's the one that I broke down and I talked about. Deji Abiola. It's the best UEFA Champions League final for me was the 2000 final. After all the Valencia hype, they chopped 3-0 in the finals. Gaskia Mendieta and co. That was a good finals anyway. That was a very, very good finals, but it just didn't go according to script for them. And Tosin Adebambo said, "You are doing great, bro. Thank you very much." Oduni Remileko, aka the Emperor, is the Ronald Koeman scored that number of goals is still a surprise to me. Sha. It was very adventurous. He's a Dutch player. He had a very good understanding of the game. Even though he was a centre back, he was always moving forward. I think it was also the kind of play that Stephen Keshi played. Stephen Keshi, Jules Bukandi of Senegal, but he had more finesse and he could really hit a rocket out of his boots. So that's one of the reasons why he had that much number of goals. Okay, and this one is coming in from Remileko again. He said Arsenal will be playing this weekend up against Brentford. Okay. And Korode Timothy said most exciting UEFA Champions League game for me was Barca versus Chelsea in 2009. That Iniesta goal made my day. As exciting as that game is, I think that was a game that Ovrebo handled. The game was a bit too dirty, too match fixing. It looked like a match fixing game anyway, but it was exciting anyway. For a neutral, it was exciting. But the referee just decided, he had made up his mind before the game, so there was nothing Chelsea was going to do. The other one, you said the Bayern versus Chelsea 2012 match was another Milan versus Barca. Yeah, it was that game where Chelsea was the underdog. Nobody expected them to win. Come on, it's even worse when they are not going to play at the arena. It felt like there was nothing anybody could do. But hey, football is like biscuit. You don't know where it will break. Anything is possible. TJCC mine was Chelsea versus now. Okay, I think I've read that one before. And then Saviki came against another UEFA Champions League upset was Marseille beating AC Milan in the 1991 final. That was an amazing one too. Masiboli, right? Yeah, that was the one that had Masiboli, Abega Upeli, and a host of other players. Man, I don't know. Oh, just remembering these things off the cuff. Now let me give you a list of some games in the UEFA Champions League that, when I mention them, you will remember if you saw those games. And one was so important that it made it into the book that was written by Andre Pirlo. I think therefore I played. Andre Pirlo believed that game was match fixing. Andre Pirlo believed that the players took drugs, like they were on drugs, and there's nothing anybody would tell you that something was not right about that game. So let's dive into my top 10 that I picked. And on the list, Manchester United 4, Real Madrid 3. This was in 2002-2003. It was a quarterfinals, second leg at Old Trafford. Everything that could go right went right. Everything that could go wrong went wrong as well. Phil Bobby say well done on Instagram. Thank you very much. Everything that could go right went right, and everything that could go wrong go wrong. And everybody was saying, I think the best final is 2003, Juventus versus AC Milan. 120 minutes without a goal, with two best goalkeeper. Okay, that's for you anyway. And in this game, we saw dribbles, we saw tackles, we saw foolishness, we saw stupidity, we saw cards, and everything that could be seen. Okay, so let me give you a rundown of how I came about this one, and I scripted. The kick matters. To kick matters off, two of the continent's giants put on a performance of titanic proportion in an era that saw both clubs enjoy periods of massive success respectively. Real Madrid, the reigning champions of Europe, came into the match with a Galactical squad in full footballing motion and comprising a star-studded cast led by the prolific Ronaldo de Lima and an informed Zinedine Zidane. For Manchester United, the match represented a valiant effort in overturning arguably the world's greatest side at the time, but it was all for nothing. Okay, in what has since gone on to become classic Red Devils forms, Alex Ferguson's men conceded first at Old Trafford before then coming back to stage a 4-3 victory. Unfortunately for the English stalwart, the Navy 3-1 loss in Madrid during the first leg meant that the deficit simply wasn't reduced enough to end further progress in that year's edition of the Champions League. A Ronaldo hat-trick against an uncertain Fabio Batez was probably the biggest highlight of a 7-goal thriller at the Theatre of Dreams, where the home fans watching were handed a nightmare of an aggregate defeat. Oh, sorry, because it became so bad. 6-5, 11-goal thriller over 2 legs. Okay, so you can push further down and go down and see. In my number 9, this one, I don't know if everybody will remember this game, but this one was one of those games where you sit back and say, how did this happen? Bayern Munich traveled to Kiev on their journey to that painful, heartbreaking finals. But before they got there, this is what happened. It was a semi-final first leg, and they went to Kiev. It felt like it was going to be a routine match, but that didn't happen. The last time Dynamo Kiev made their way past the group stage of the Champions League, they advanced all the way to the semi-finals of the 1998-1999 campaign and were unfortunate not to go for that. Were it not for a resilient group of well-structured Bavarians, they might have made their way to the finals too, but they ended up failing in the second leg of their semi-final encounter with Bayern Munich. However, the Ukraine athlete did stage a surprisingly strong stride into the lead, thanks to goals from Andrei Shevchenko, Kaka Kaladze, who later went on to play for Ajax, and Shevchenko, you know the story. Michael Tennant was on hand to provide Bayern with an absolute worthy of a free kick from all of 35 yards just before halftime. Despite an incredibly high standard of football being shown in the first half, the second period was equally, if not more entertaining, as 3 more goals, including a late equalizer courtesy of Kastanyanka. If you know Bayern Munich very well, you remember this name, that tall-headed guy that looked like Jaap Stam, brought the German visitors back to level peggings at the Olympic Stadium in Kiev. But the second leg, they didn't find that energy. Now, let me remind you, this one is very easy. Today's football people will know this one very well. And my number 8 is Chelsea 4, Liverpool 4, 2008-2009 quarterfinal second leg. This was the game. Okay, goals don't necessarily make for good games, but that kind of correlation would appear relevant after Liverpool and Chelsea were matched up for the 5th season in a row in 2009. Although the first leg was anything but boring. Okay, the second leg of this English encounter took just about everyone by surprise in terms of entertainment level. While it would seem as though the Czech temporarily lost all use of his usual goalkeeping abilities, the Chelsea stopper was fortunate that the likes of Didier Drogba and Frank Lampard were able to revive some of their finer form on the night. After earning an away win in the first leg, the draw at Stamford Bridge was enough to see the Blues through to the semi-finals of that season's tournament, where they proceeded to be knocked out by FC Barcelona in that controversial game. That's the one that my brother talked about years ago. Both sides exchanged the lead several times in the match, where the balance of power shifted all but too regularly for those seeking a bit of entertainment. Now, in number seven is this match that would always be recorded in the Messi archives, in the Messi history book, and we talked about a lot in the conversation. And this was my number 7 pick. Barcelona 7. Number 7, I have 7 goals. 8 goals anyway, but 7 goals for Barcelona. Barcelona 7, Bayern Leverkusen 1. And you already know this game. 2011-2012 round of 16 second leg. This game where Messi was audacious enough to be chipping somebody in their goal line. That's very, very rude. Okay. So the Jesse said, I remember that thunder of a free kick from Ale, the Brazilian. Okay, so let me put this in context. Okay, in a match that broke a BV of Champions League runs, Barcelona Lionel Messi truly established his standing as one of the greatest players of all time with a 5-goal haul against Bayern Leverkusen. That's rude. Despite already setting the bar considerably high with a 3-1 win in Germany during the first leg, it was anything but enough for the current Champions League title holders. At the time, their workshop were anything but easy opposition, but the strength of the Catalan counterpart was very much exemplified in the European routing. That's Lions. Having taken place in March, this match was still just a momentum setter for Lionel Messi's in 2012, who would eventually go on to break the record for amount of goals scored in the calendar year 91, previously held by Gerd Müller. Okay, his performance such as that allowed the Argentine to be justifiably labeled as one of the greatest of all time. And while Bayern were not even deserved it, their demolition at the hands of Barca made for entertaining viewing for the neutral perspective. As reported by the BBC Sports, Bayer Leverkusen boss Robin Dodd described the link between Barcelona and Messi by saying, his class is just extraordinary. There's no discussion. Without Messi, Barca at the best team, and with him, they are at another level in the galaxies. Now, let me take you back to 2010, 2011. In my number 6, this was a 7-goal thriller. How this happened, I don't know, but Inter Milan just decided they want to capitulate. Inter Milan definitely not a Champions League team. Okay, it was Inter Milan 2, Schalke 0-4. Yes, you hear me rightly. Schalke 0-4-5 in the quarterfinals, first leg of the UEFA Champions League. Considering Inter Milan were current champions of Europe and playing with home advantage, the Italians battering at the hands of relatively minors, Schalke 0-4 was a surprise to many in 2011, not least of which those at the San Siro that evening. Okay, that napping, they had only made it past the group stage of the Champions League on one other occasion prior to 2010-2011, making their result one of Italy's most famed grand, all the more unbelievable. Okay, the game got off to an equally famous start thanks to Dejan Stankovic. The Internazionale veteran capitalized on some shaky defending from the minors, powering his side in front with a half volley effort from around 40 yards out. However, Xhaka showed the reserve required of any team expecting to survive amongst Europe's elites twice before coming back from losing position before going on to see out an absolute hammering in Milan. Raul, remember that name, right? Raul led the line excellently in what grew to become standard fashion for him, while Goncalves, Edu, Joel Matip, the one that plays with Chelsea now, and an Andrea Ranocchia's own goal also helped the Germans ease through to the semi-finals with Manchester United, where they would eventually bow out. But then, let's reach the halfway mark and tell you how this works. And this is beautiful as far as I'm concerned. This is the one that I described and I said all the things that I said, but still, it didn't make it to my number 1 position. It was AC Milan 4, FC Barcelona 3, 1993-94 UEFA Champions League finals. There's nothing more to say about this one that I've not said already. So let me jump and go to number 4. And AC Milan is involved in this. I pretty much really watch a lot of AC Milan, so to put this one there. But before I go, let me take this one. And amazing Christian, he said, I rank Manchester City versus Spurs 2019 quarterfinals, second leg 4-3 match. Spurs qualified is top notch for me. Those quality goals are extraordinary. The Asian Messi showed up like a beast. I think I like that game, but I just wasn't happy with some VAR call at the time. Man, now maybe I let it go now, but I thought that match was fixed as well. Okay. While AC Milan may have staged a substantial shock roughly a decade earlier, the Italian giant fell on the wrong end of one equally as embarrassing on April 2004. Okay, although the result of the second leg was entertaining enough in itself, it was the contest in which Deportivo's 4-0 thrashing came about that made for such good viewing during the clash. Okay, the Spaniards had lost the first leg of this quarterfinals 4-1 and were being pretty much written off as contenders for the semifinals because of it. The other reason this upset was so astonishing was because AC Milan, the then holders of the Champions League title, were just so defensively strong at the time, having considered just 5 goals in the 9 tournament games prior to this one. So, I mean, where were the goals going to come from? Who was going to beat them? And as I said, when the cancelled Sterling goal, I was so pissed about it as well. Me too, because I still don't understand how that would happen. But let's come back to this conversation that I'm having with you guys. In what was the worst half of defending any Rossoneri fan would have seen for some time, Deportivo reduced Milan's 3-goal aggregate advantage to Robles in the first 43 minutes of the encounter in Spain. Goals from Walter Pandiani, Juan Carlos Veron, and Albert Licu ensured that Deportivo La Corona were back on a level playing field as halftime. Before France's second half winner sealed the day for Super Deportivo. By the time the aggregate score was back to 4-4, there was a sense that nothing was going to restrict the Turks from claiming their spot in the semifinal. They went on to do just that because the energy was too much. Number 3 on the list. This is one game that I love, okay, because I saw this game and I watched it over and over and over again. And I saw, what's it called? Roy Keane play the kind of football that I've not seen him play in a long while. And he got the deserved goals for it as well. Okay, it was number 3, Juventus 2, Manchester United 3 at the Turin Stadium, not the current one, the old stadium that we were using. Okay, 1998, 1999 semi-final second leg. Nothing worth having ever came without struggle. And so to say that Manchester United struggled on their route to the 1999 Champions League final would be an understatement. Roy Keane shone on the Red Devil side that fought tooth and nail for their away victory against a team that contained the likes of Filippo Inzaghi, Zinedine Zidane, Edgar Davids, Didier Deschamps, and other worldly talent like Alessandro Del Piero as well. The United captain led from the front and put on the perfect example of how a team should be guided through enemy territory, bringing his side back from 2 goals deficit thanks to an early Inzaghi double. However, the Englishmen have become famed for their comebacks for a reason, and Kane scored along with Wanyok to draw inside level at the old lady's crown. Okay, even though United were then winning the 2-leg fixture on away goals, Sir Alex Ferguson chose to push on with his attacking strategy, and the co-finish guaranteed that Manchester United outfit will play on the final stage when it comes to comeback victories. This particular fixture will rank amongst some of the highest. Okay, may I say that the next game that came after this game is also on my list. Manchester United 2, Bayern Munich 1, 1998-1999 finals at the Nou Camp. And this game have all the packets. I'm not going to talk about it because you all already know this game. If you don't know this game, then go and research this game. But hey, number 1 on my list. You know, it could be number 10 in your heart, but it's number 1 on my list and number 1 in my heart. And there's not Arsenal game in this, so you wouldn't say I'm biased about it. It is Liverpool 3, AC Milan 3. Why are there so many AC Milan in all of this? I don't know. Some work for their good, some work against them. 2004, 2005 UEFA Champions League final. It is tagged the Battle of Istanbul. On a day where Paulo Maldini, who rarely scored goals, scored in the opening few seconds of the game, yet they ended up on the losing side. Don't forget that this team had everybody you need. Kaká, Hernan Crespo, everybody you need to win a match. Dida, experienced goalkeeper like that. Paulo Maldini, the man who transcended generation. Andrea Pirlo, you know, name it. Andrei Shevchenko. Jesse Dudek was also on the other side for Liverpool. But hey, at the end of the day, Liverpoolians or the Copites will always tell you what happened in this game was the very best moment of their lives. Yes, we're 11 minutes over the top on the show because we started a little bit late. And I think that's how I will wrap it up today. But let me go to YouTube and see if you guys dropped any comment. It's exciting to see that a lot of people are also following UEFA Champions League. Now, this one comes from okay, the last one you said the Bayern. Okay, I think I've read out. Additional for my say, I will never forget the Bayern Munich versus Valencia UEFA Champions League finals. The best 0-0 game I had ever watched. Okay, for you. Yeah. Divine Tonkei said mine is bias. Barcelona 2, Chelsea 2, 2011, 2012 as my favorite. Ramirez, Rob, Lob, and Torres last minute was everything for me. And was it 2 to that game? And to think that we did it at the Nou Camp, okay, yeah, with one man down was simply sweet. There's something biased about it. That was a very, it's like going to the lions den to go and rescue your goods, and sending. I mean, it was Chelsea was there to be slaughtered, but then they refused. That was the day when they said, "Devil, not today." They refused to fall down and die. They refused to let fire burn them. They were like, if I perish, let me perish, but we're going to come out of this place with something. We're not going to come out of this place without anything. And after they won that game, I said to my friend, you can't win this game and not go on to win the Champions League. I mean, it would be insane for you to win this game and not. And I think that helped them, their mentality when they went to play Bayern in the finals, because somehow, if I've gone to Nou Camp, over 90,000 people shouting at me, and I got the result that brought me to this finals. Oh, but we die here. Well, that's how I close today. Okay. From next week, we'll be doing tidbits of the World Cup. So prepare your mind, prepare your World Cup knowledge, your World Cup memories, and let's have fun. Like I always say to people, I am in this to have fun. If you're not having fun, I don't know why you are in it. But whatever it is, I am in it to have fun. And I'm sure you have had fun. I have had fun. We've all had fun, and it's been beautiful. God bless you guys and have a wonderful and a fabulous weekend as you go through the weekend. Remember, like Osasu said, remember to keep work at the office and have fun with your families and friends. And like I always say, so and never to read a book. Read a book, upgrade your knowledge, get to know something new, and learn a new skill. It can be cooking, it can be hack, it can be, just anything. Learn something new. It will just make you a better person. Like they say, when we get older, we have the need to tell a lot of stories. The things you learn, the things you pick up as you go through the journey of life, and the stories that you will tell when you are no longer able to do this. So pick up good stories, pick up beautiful memories, so that when we talk about it in the future, they'll be nice. Forget about your enemy. Be thankful for those who love you. If you have only one person loving you and you have a million people fighting against you, focus on the guy who's loving you. Please, so those people who are fighting against you, forget about you. But if you keep talking about them, they'll kick them. That's what the universe does. The universe gives to you what you talk about the most, what you think about the most, what you do about the most. Haven't you noticed that the people that are casting and binding the most are the ones who have more enemies than those who are always grateful for what they have? Because the more grateful you are, the more things you get. That's the way it is. For not wanting to sound like a preacher man, I gotta leave you right now and move on. Yes, it's Friday, so it's gonna be party mood. We're gonna be in that groovy mood. I don't know what kind of music Siko would have lined up, but I like the throwbacks. So I want to go back in time, way back in time with the hip hop music that we've got. That might take for you is, if you are done listening on YouTube and on Instagram, do want to be on www.elevatortv.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel anyway. But if you're there, you would hear some of the best music coming from back in the time, way back. And I'm starting with Bonnie and Clyde, Jay-Z on that one, Beyonce knows on that one as well. I think this is where they started toasting each other, and they went on to become man and wife. Okay? As the Bible will say, Jay-Z knew Beyonce and they begat, what's her name? Blue Ivory. So let me go. My name again is Idafi Matthews. So you love to come in here on the spots. It's been a wonderful time this Friday. Love you guys. Bye-bye. And once again, Bukola Obaje. Bye-bye. Love you. Be the best that you are created to be. And please smile and stop being a jumbo person. Bye-bye.
Radio. Redefining broadcasting. Listen. You are listening to Elevated TV and Radio. You are listening to Elevated TV.